Many of us can appreciate a good zombie movie. They're intriguing, even if they're kinda terrifying, and make us imagine how we would fare in the midst of a zombie apocalypse. Good thing zombies don't actually exist, right? Imagine getting ready to cook a nice fillet of fish, when all of a sudden, bam, it starts flopping around fiercely, as though it were still alive. Well, that's one way to lose your appetite fast. Why would a fish corpse do such a thing? Even though the brain and heart aren't working anymore, the cells inside the fish are still able to respond to extreme stimuli. Ions that are found both inside and outside the cell work together with nerves that trigger the body to move. So, for example, adding salt, which contains a lot of sodium, to a fish fillet results in an imbalance of the ions and can cause a reaction within the muscle. As a result, the body moves.
The hell?
There are plenty of other examples of dead, squirming sea creatures, like the octopuses and squid. Octopus tentacles have been known to wiggle around on your plate. There are lots of videos presenting octopus or squid on a plate moments before eating it, and one video in particular shows how the squid starts to move once soy sauce is being poured on it. Soy sauce is high in sodium, and sodium causes that involuntary muscle contraction to be triggered. There have been videos showing how frog legs appear to dance around once salt is sprinkled on them.
Oh, that's freaky.
Oh, man.
After a minute or two of wiggling around, the energy reserves of the muscle and nerve cells will be depleted, and the body will stop moving. Sometimes, even if an animal's brain is technically dead, there is still energy stored within muscle and nerve cells that can be involuntarily triggered. Snakes also move around after death because their bodies still have reflexes. This is true, whether its head has been cut off or not. We know that snakes are cold-blooded animals, which means that they don't need a lot of energy or oxygen levels to be able to function, primarily because they don't use energy for heat production, unlike us humans and other warm-blooded animals, who use a lot of energy to regulate body temperature. The fact that snakes do have such low energy and oxygen levels is one of the reasons why they move after dying. Their cells don't instantly die because they require minimal oxygen to begin with, whereas with warm-blooded animals, cells start to die almost immediately after they are cut off from oxygen. If you ever happen to stumble upon a dead snake, stay away from its head until you know that all the lingering energy and reflexes have been depleted. Even if it's dead, if those involuntary reflexes are still active, it is still very possible for the snake to bite you and even release venom. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. Venomous snakes in particular are notorious for this, since their bite reflex played a huge role in their survival. So, if their head is still intact with their body, or even if it's been sliced off, stay as far away from it as you possibly can. These automatic reflexes post-death are very common in other reptiles as well. Now, has anyone ever heard of the zombie flies? Yeah, it's a real thing. Scientists have discovered a type of fungus that hijacks a fly's brain and takes over the body as it slowly dies. Around the 4th day of being infected, the fly's behavior will start to become strange. It climbs up somewhere high and begins to twitch as the fungus takes over both its mind and body. The fungus will compel the fly to anchor itself down by releasing a sticky liquid. Then, the fly is trapped. At that point, the fly is doomed for death. But even after it dies, the fly's body is used as a way to release spores of the deadly fungus out into the air to search for other victims to latch onto. That's why the fungus compels the fly to search for a high place before its death, so that it can better spread its spores out into the air. Scientists believe that the fungus secretes certain chemicals that control the fly's neurons, which is how it's able to overtake it. Now, before we all freak out, the fungus luckily does not harm humans. Phew, I was worried there for a second too. Now, even without being overtaken by a deadly fungus, flies are also known to be able to still move around, even after being decapitated. In fact, female flies can actually live for several days without their head. Having no head doesn't stop them from walking, flying. Cockroaches have a similar headless experience. They are able to fully function, even in the absence of their brain. When insects continue living without a head, it's due to the fact that they're able to breathe through the tissues in their skin, called spiracles. Essentially, spiracles are tiny little holes found all over their body that lets air move into their tracheal system. Insects don't have nostrils or lungs to begin with. The spiracles are what makes it possible to breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Insects are able to control their spiracles by using muscle contractions to open and close them. Now, we just simply can't talk about animals coming back from the dead without talking about the famous case of Mike the Headless Chicken. Mike cheated death in 1945 when a farmer decapitated him. And yes, you heard that right. The decapitation was a success, but death, well, not so much. Little did the farmer, heck, or even Mike himself know, that he would go on to live another year and a half without his beloved head. The skeletal anatomy of a chicken, and a little bit of luck, is really what made this all possible. Within a chicken's skull, the brain is positioned upwards at about a 45-degree angle. While a botched decapitation will certainly remove a certain amount of the chicken's forebrain, the angle of the brain makes it possible for certain parts that are crucial for survival to remain untouched, like the cerebellum and brainstem. Yikes, not so sure I'd do so well without my head. And it's not just animals. Did you know that muscle spasms after death can cause a human to move too?
Oh, Jesus!
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to drop a like. And if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and tap that big red button and notification bell. See you all next time.